It's already end of September, and if you did not start yet, you probably have your new university semester just around the corner. And any new start, either you're starting uni for the very first time or you're just going on in your degree, can be so overwhelming with all those due date, assignment, new professors and lecture. And therefore today I wanted to share with you my top 7 tips about how to just have a good start of uni semester and just to drive away all of this anxiety that can just be increased at this period of the year. Hi, my name is Laura. I'm currently an undergraduate student in life science engineering. I'm studying in Switzerland, but currently I'm doing an exchange year in Hong Kong, so I'm going to stay there for the whole academic year. First, try to find some techniques before classes so you don't lose too much time, but on the other hand, stay a bit flexible. Let me explain myself. Sometimes you can already have an idea about what the classes is going to ask you, whether it is just going through the syllabus or if you're just going to see on your lecture or the very first classes, and you will see a bit what kind of content and what the professors are expecting you to know. And you can already make some little research just to have an idea of which techniques could be good for this kind of subjects, depending on what you have to do. And having those kind of ideas can also just help you start from the beginning, that we're gonna talk also a bit later about why is it this important, and so you won't lose that much time. But sometimes, even though you thought you had the best idea, you had the best technique just to study in this material, then maybe when you will start and have your first lectures, you're going to just find out that it's not the best technique. So that's what I mean by just be flexible. There are so many videos already on YouTube where you can have so many study techniques. I'm going to talk in this video about a few that I think are really useful, and so you can already have an idea about how you can work more efficiently depending on what kind of subject you're gonna have. And the second point goes a bit with this one. The techniques that worked for you in high school, for example, are maybe not going to be the most efficient one. Especially if it's your first year of university, it's a totally different environment, study techniques, study content, and everything is brand new. And maybe if you did your whole high school years about just doing summaries of every classes, maybe you're going to realize when you will start uni that it's actually not the most efficient technique and the most efficient way to learn all the content you have to do there. And so that's what I mean by be open to new techniques, be open to maybe other advices, because as the work amount is probably not going to be the same than in high school, it could be great for you to just adjust your methods, even though you were really used to have like those very nice summaries, spending hours just putting it on a very nice layout. Maybe you will realize that you won't have this time anymore. So there are a few techniques that I want to share with you now that could be maybe a bit more useful. You probably have heard already about active recall or spaced repetitions, but that things were actually what changed my whole way of studying for my last 2 years of uni and the one I'm currently into. Spaced repetitions is based on trying to make you remember every information you're going to have to learn far more efficiently, and based on trying to beat this forgetting curve, because every time you're learning something, then this information and everything you learn about it is going to decrease exponentially. And it has been proved that if you're reviewing this subject, this material after a certain amount of time, so spaced repetitions, it's like where the name comes from, you will be able at the end to really remember this information until your exam. By reviewing after a certain amount of time, you're going to be able to remember this information, and that's going to actually stick in your head and not just be totally forgotten as most of the informations would have been normally. Going with spaced repetition, there's also all this term about active recall. So active recall is actually trying to make you learn in a different way. So for you, instead of just reading through summaries and actually did not get any information from what you just read, active recall is going to asking yourself questions, trying to test you, trying to test what you know, and trying to get this information out of your brain, either than just reading and you actually don't know if you will remember this information if it's for example asked during an exam. So active recall is based on asking you questions and not just summarizing your classes, reading through it, but actually writing questions about the lecture, things that could be useful for you. So when you're going to review, you're just gonna get through those questions and trying to get this information out of your brain, trying to answer this information without having the answer already shown, so you can actually see, okay, what do I know and what do I don't. And if you're struggling a bit also to study for a big amount of time, I could really recommend Pomodoro technique. So if you don't know what this is about, it normally is like 25 minutes of deep focus and then 5 minutes of break, and then you repeat as long as you need for your study session. Personally, I never really used it for my last 2 years, hours because I think 25 minutes is a bit too short, especially as I'm studying in engineering. You were sometimes just doing an exercise and 25 minutes is far not enough. And if you're just stopping after 25 minutes, I think it's just too hard to get into it again. So I would just more try to take like some little breaks, which were after very, very longer sessions. But I found out this year while studying for a subject which is only based on by heart knowledge, then Pomodoro techniques actually helped me to be like, okay, I'm going to go through all those questions I made up by my lecture for the next 25 minutes, trying to really drill myself and trying to really see what I know, and then I have this 5 minutes of break. And for example, if you're someone who can quickly go on their phone if they're here, you can be distracted pretty quick, it's very good because in 25 minutes, if you don't see a message, for example, you know that those 5 minutes are just around the corner and you won't miss any important messages if you can answer in 25 minutes. Third point is that each professor is different, and depending on how they are teaching, what they actually want you to learn, the technique could be so different. It happened for me in the same class to have different teachers, and depending on the teacher, actually the techniques could maybe change because either some would have slides which were totally good to go, you know, very full slides with all the informations you need, and you can just annotate with like more little informations like they would just say out loud. And in the same class, when you would change lecturer, then another one will come with his own slides which are pretty empty or just came, and then you have to annotate. So really take time to just see what is efficient with this kind of teacher, what maybe worked for this one is not going to work for the other, and that's also what I talked about when I say to be a bit flexible about all your techniques. Fourth point is try to start from the beginning. What I mean by that is that it can sometimes take a bit of time to really get into it, to really be used to this new university bubble or whatever with all those informations, and you will maybe find your rhythm, but after a few weeks. And sometimes it is more likely to be very chill at the beginning of the semester. I'll be like, I have so much time. It's okay if I did not finish my summaries yet, or it's okay if I did not really understood this subject. But then you're going to find your rhythm after a few weeks, and actually you're probably going to be in a rush for the whole semester because of this beginning. And that's what you should probably try to avoid when I'm talking about try to start from the beginning, because even though you find your rhythm, you're working pretty hard, you're just going to feel like you're in a rush because of those 2 weeks of material that you did not work enough at this time. And even though it's like the very first lectures, it will be very likely for you to have a class which is going to be with the professor saying, well, it will take him maybe 5 minutes to be like, welcome everyone, the class is going to be spread like this with this content, the exam is going to be in a date, okay, let's dive into the material of the class. And that if you were not expecting to start this early, or as we talked before, you did not think before what you could actually do to learn, it's going to be a bit more difficult to really get into it. Fifth point, try to find your time management tool as fast as possible. It can seem so overwhelming at the beginning of a semester when every different classes you will have due assignments, deadlines, midterm dates, and you're just going to be, I have so many things to do and that's just so stressing, how am I going to deal with everything? And actually when you will take time to write down everything on a calendar, either it could be like a notebook or whatever, really a planner, you will realize that actually it's fine. Like maybe there are weeks which are going to be a bit more full, but some weeks which are going to be a bit lighter, and that will actually really distress you to have everything on paper and realize that it's going to be fine. And that's also what we talk about when we say have this second brain, because just thinking I will remember every due date, I will remember every single date which is important, is probably the worst lie you can tell to yourself at the beginning of a semester. That will arrive that you're actually going to forget something if you did not write it down. So really write everything down, and that's going to be actually for you life-changing to just know it's there and that you won't have to care about it like, oh, did I forget something? Personally, I use the calendar on Apple devices because I think they're pretty good. You have a good choices of colors for every classes. I have different colors depending if it's a lecture, tutorial, lab, if it's an assignment which is due. That really helped me at the beginning to just, okay, have this overall view about everything, and it is super great because then it's just synchronized through all your devices. I also really love to have those notebook or like those paper agenda when you're just going to annotate and make it look nice. But I found that it's maybe not the most efficient way because at the beginning of the semester the dates can change. For example, I have a midterm who already changed dates a few times, and it's easier if you just have your device online where you can just, you know, change this time from another place instead of just erasing, and maybe you will forget that this time changed in your primary notebook or agenda. The sixth point that I want to talk about is make space in your life for this uni semester as much mentally than physically. exactly. What I want to talk about here, it's more that you just finished summer, you maybe had so many plans, you did so many things which were like totally out of school, you still want to do so many things on the side, and sometimes it's hard to really get into this university mode and to put enough time for your university time. Especially if it's the very first time you're starting uni, you can be surprised by the time it's going to ask you because, for example, depending on which content or in which section you are, you will find out that you only have lectures in the morning or that actually you have a lot of hours free during the day, which was not the case in high school where we used to have class, I don't know, from 8 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. But that could actually be a bit the trap if you're thinking that all this free time around your lectures is just free time to do everything else. It is super important to find a balance, so do not think you have to forget everything, to not see anyone anymore because semester started, but just find and plan enough time for you to have this time to study, to have this time to organize everything about your semester and also to prioritize it comparing to other things. And it's probably best to just start by planning too much time for university and then realizing, okay, but actually I don't really need to work every Tuesday evening, so on Tuesday evening I can organize something. And that's really important to find a balance. So it's really easier in this way to just then having too much time as dedicated to it and realize, oh, actually I can put other things because I have time, or I studied everything I wanted to this day, so I have more time to see my friends in the evening or whatever, then actually having so many things organized also with other people and then just be like, okay, I really don't have time enough to work everything I'm supposed to, and just to be super stressed, and you're also not going to enjoy all the things you're gonna do on the side just because you're thinking that you should be actually studying instead. And what I meant by making space physically, it's more that it could be a great time to tidy up your room, for example, and prepare yourself a place where you can actually study, because maybe your desk is just full of very different things which have nothing to do with actually productivity or studying, and it could be great for you to clean up everything before, so it will be more likely for you to start from the beginning if you just go home and you have your nice setup which is ready for you to just sit down and work a bit. It's pretty great to just put all the distractions away, but it's also nice to have a setup where you feel comfortable to work. So if you just want to have some nice stationery stuff that you really like and that will make you want to study a bit more, that could be also great to just have them with you. And if you don't feel like you're going to work efficient enough at home, that's fine as well. Personally, I almost did not work at home for the last 2 years, especially because I'm living quite far from the campus, so actually it was a bit hard for me to just go to the lectures, take this long break for me to go back home and then start again. I prefer to arrive very early to the library, do my things, go to the lecture and then start to work again, or just have all my lectures and then stay a bit later and then go just even later at home when everything is done, so I know that when I'm home I don't have to work anymore, and I really separated those two places. So actually those first week are also going to be time for you to just find where is your comfortable place, where do you feel comfortable enough to work, what is going to work efficiently for you. So if you don't feel like working at home, it's okay, like you will find something, but even cleaning a bit will let you a tiny bit of space, so you will know that actually something is arriving and you're making space for this new semester. And finally, the seventh and last point of this video is be kind to yourself. It's going to be okay. It is so stressing at first because they may be going to talk about how you can fill your year, what is important, all those assignments, deadlines, and you just feel overwhelmed and you just think you're not enough to actually succeed. But you're gonna be okay. Everyone is a bit in the same situation, and there is no way if you put all your chances on your side that you won't succeed. It can be so stressful at the beginning of uni because you don't know what you're capable of, so you just think you're gonna arrive, see the exam sheet and just give it blank because you don't know what you're capable of. You never had a uni exam before, so you just feel super stressed about it because you have no idea. But what I mean by that is that even though it can feel so stressful, just relax and take it chill. You're gonna be okay, and that university is so much more than actually studying. You will meet probably so nice people, and that's why it is also super important to have a balance. You're going to discover things that you actually like and want to do, so really be open to this new chapter in your life. And there are actually a lot of people who say university are the best years of your life. I don't know if it's true, but actually for the moment, as far as I'm concerned, I'm really enjoying my uni years because I discovered that even though there were a few few classes that do not really interest me, I discovered so many new people and so many new things that I like, and learned actually a lot about myself, and I'm so sure it's going to be the case for you too. This is all I wanted to talk about in this video. I will probably do more videos which are going to be a bit more about all the devices I'm using, all the applications which could be super useful as a student, but I just really wanted to do this video to share a bit my tips that I think could be useful if you're really stressed and feel super overwhelmed at the beginning of the semester. We're all in this together, as we can say, and I'm sure it's going to be okay. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If it's the case, don't hesitate to tell me what you liked below, or if you have any other advices or something you want to add. I would love to talk a bit longer with you about that. And thank you so much for staying until the end of this video, and I'll see you in the next one.